I want to talk about the cruise line industry today. I think of myself something of an expert on the cruise line industry because my wife and I have probably been in excess of 30 cruises in our life. We started out the Western Caribbean, we've been to the Greek Isles, we've been to Hawaii. We even got on a cruise one time and went across the Atlantic and then up to St. Petersburg, Russia, and through the Baltic countries, and then stayed on the same ship and came across the North Atlantic into New York City. I've caught cruise ships in Canada and came down through the rivers and into. We've been on all the cruise ships. Our favorite is the Royal Caribbean. And in fact, we did a cruise earlier this year on the Symphony of the Seas. The Symphony of the Seas is a cruise ship that carries 6,000 passengers. The captain very boastfully told us that, including the crew, there were 8,888 people on that cruise ship at the time we were on it. So what I'm here to tell you is I know the cruise ship industry. I know who's on those cruise ships, and I want to tell you I probably will never get on a cruise ship again in my life. And I want to explain to you why. And it's all about risk and reward. It's all about what kind of risk am I going to be taking to participate in that activity, and is the reward worth it? You can see behind me, that's my bike. I'm very proud of this bike. It's a Pinarello. It's made in Italy. It's a $3,500 bike. It's made of carbon fiber. It weighs almost nothing. I actually competed on this bike in the Senior Olympics in Cleveland a number of years ago in the 5K and 10K race. So I'm very proud of it, but I don't ride it anymore. I was run off the road by a teenager in a black monster pickup truck and ended up in the ditch. I was run off the road by a white-haired lady who could barely see over the steering wheel as she passed a garbage truck on the street and came head on to me, and I ended up again in the ditch. So I've determined there's too much risk for riding my bike anymore. So I only ride my bike now on Sundays in downtown Birmingham before 7 a.m. So what I'm telling you is the risk and reward equation went negative for my bike. And as a result, I don't ride it. I made that decision. It wasn't in my best interest to be out on the roads. So I look at Royal Caribbean, whose price on January the 20th was $135 a share, and today it's selling for $23. Or Carnival Cruise Lines, who at the same time, January 20th, price was at $57, and today it's at $11. And I would think I would say, wow, that's a real buying opportunity. They aren't going to get any lower. There's just nowhere lower to go. Well, I suppose they could go to 5 on Carnival, and they could go to 10 on Royal Caribbean. But I'm not a trader, and I don't want to be a trader. I'm an investor. So I'll stay away from it. And here's my logic. There are 8,888 people on the ship that my wife and my brothers and my cousins, 6 couples, had decided we were going to go on this time next year. I also recognize there are going to be 8,888 other people in that tin can floating on the Caribbean seas. I don't know any of them. I know that 2,888 of them are coming from a third world country or a second world country. And I recognize that in the reports that I've seen about the virus, that a lot of the cases that they find on these ships are with the crew members. So that doesn't make me feel good. And then I recognize that they tell me that if you're over 60 years old, you're very prone to this. If you smoke, you're very prone to it. If you're obese, you're very prone to it. And if you're over 60 years old, you're very prone to it. Well, you just described the people who are on these ships. The ships in the cruising business has grown with the aging of the baby boomers. We are the people who have the money. We are the people who have the time, and we are the people who like to eat. And if you've never been on a cruise ship, it is an all-you-can-eat bonanza. All the food you can eat in these restaurants is there available for you for 7 days. So you get people who are actually going around in electric carts because they don't have the wind to walk to the feeding trough. But they have the ability to fill their plates and sit at the tables and eat. They don't do anything else except observe each other. So I look at a cruise and I say, there's a very high risk involved. Now, there are 6 couples who would plan to do this this time next year. We would each spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,500 a couple for a cabin with a balcony, and we'd probably all be lined up next to each other, and we'll have a wonderful time. We have done this 3 times before, and we have had a wonderful time. Well, collectively, we're going to spend over $15,000 to do this. So I got to thinking, could I rent a condo or 2 condos at the beach for less than $15,000? Yeah. Could I rent the condos and have all the food I wanted and go out to eat anytime I wanted and have all the activities I wanted? Yeah. So what I'm telling you is I think there's going to be a number of people my age and younger and older who decide the risk isn't worth the reward. Now, I just read that Carnival Cruise Lines put up their cruise ships as collateral and borrowed $3 billion to make it through what they think is probably a 2, 3, 4 month span where they're going to have no income. Well, how long is it going to take them to recoup that $3 billion that they're borrowing, plus any other losses that they're incurring? And are my fellow boomers going to come back and risk their lives on these ships ever again? Sure, there will be some that will, some that won't measure the risk against reward, and they will get on the ships. The other thing I think you got to recognize, and you're going to say, yeah, but Kerry, this virus will be settled. Well, this virus will be settled, but this virus came out of, Wannoon, China, a empty warehouse full of bats, and it made it to my community. It's now within 2 doors of my house. I don't think I want to take the risk. I don't think I'm going to get on Old Leeds Road on my bike ever again. I don't think I will. I think I'll go to the beach. I'll invite my cousins. We'll rent the townhouses or the condos or a house, and we'll have just as good a time, but we'll be much, much safer. I believe that this virus is going to change the way we live. Many of us are doing our work strictly from our homes now. Many of us will never go back to the office. Or, if at best, we'll go back to the office once or twice a week. What's that going to do to commercial real estate? I think this is a pivot point in our society. And you, as an investor, have to recognize it for what it is. It's not a virus that we will get over. We'll look back 6 years from now and just vaguely remember it. But we will be living differently. So, will I go on a cruise ship again? No, I don't believe I will. I think they've seen the last of me. My wife said to me today, yeah, but I want to go to Ireland. I said, do you want to get on an airplane? And she said, I think I would be willing to take that risk. I said, do you really want to get on an airplane with 300 people that you don't know? She says, if the airlines change the way they're doing business, yeah, I'll do that. If they have the means through the internet to determine that everybody on that plane is healthy, and that as we get on the plane, maybe they take one of those little zappers and take your temperature. Is that possible? Yeah, I think that's possible. Is it something that I think will happen? I damn well think it's going to happen. I told you yesterday about the smart house, the smart toilet, the smart toothbrush, the smart mirror. I think it's going to be a requirement to get on an airplane someday that your bot doctor clears you.